Hi, welcome to Two Batches.
Two Batches Cooking is about home style with ease.
I'm Maria.
And I'm Rosemary.
Welcome in.
Let's go inside and get started. Amen, sister.
Amen.
Woo!
Yes, cookies.
Christmas cookies part two.
Christmas does mean cookies. At least they did in my house. And like Rosemary said, her grandmother would make cookies well in advance, preparing for the holiday. My mom did the exact same thing. I am going to share a recipe for a sugar cookie today that is actually from a very good friend of my grandmother's. And she was from the same village in Austria as my grandparents. And I remember going to their house when I was young, and she had these clear glass canisters full of cookies. And so I'd always get to have a cookie. And then she had the cutest little wax paper envelope, little baggies, and I'd always get several to take home. So it was just like the funnest place to go and visit. But I'm going to share with you a recipe that she has for these really light, delicate, flaky sugar cookies.
Sounds great. And I'm going to share a recipe that I came across years ago. And so they're Algerian almond cookies, and they have a little bit of essence of orange. And I love North Africa. I've traveled to Tunisia and Morocco. I've never traveled to Algeria, but I love the cuisine of that area. And this is a very light, kind of tasty, not too sugary, wonderfully crumbly cookie. Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
All right. So this is the Mrs. Strantz's sugar cookie dough.
Wait, you have to say who Mrs. Strantz was again.
She was my grandmother's good friend.
From Austria.
From Austria, but they lived here in the United States. So I had to make this dough because it needed to be chilled, but it does have a cup of granulated sugar and it has a cup of powdered sugar. It also, the shortening in it is one cup of butter and then 1 cup of oil. So it's a little different than a typical cookie recipe, but you mix it all together. And this version does have 1 cup of finely chopped nuts, but I have a recipe that is almost identical, but it's without nuts. So I will post both recipes in case someone has an allergy or just doesn't care for nuts. But I just wanted to share, this is not something that you roll out. I'm gonna scoop it and then we'll flatten it with a glass, but this is something fun that I got several years ago. It is an engraved rolling pin, and you can make a roll-out sugar cookie or any type of roll-out dough. And after you roll it out, then you go over it with this and it imprints the design, and then you can cut it with your cookie cutters, and it's beautiful. It's so fun to make. So I just wanted to let you know there's options out there, and not just decorating it with frosting and stuff, but you can decorate it with a design. So I'll just set this. So what I'm gonna do, I have a tablespoon cookie scoop, and I'm gonna put these out. The dough was just removed from the refrigerator. It's a little cold, but you can work. Okay. So with these cookies, it's important to flatten them. So because of the holidays, I added a little green and red sugar with the just granulated sugar, but you want to take a flat bottom glass and you just want to press it down.
Wait, that's green and red sugar? Or
I added green and red sugar to the granulated sugar.
I didn't know they had sugar. I thought it was like sprinkles. Cool. Oh my God, they look so great. Look at that.
So we just magic. Press them down. And if you can use any color sprinkles you want, or you can just use regular white sugar. But it's important to flatten each of them. And then we'll put them in the oven. I believe it's 10 minutes. I'll have to double check the recipe, but bake them, and then you have to make sure that you do let them cool a little bit on the cookie sheet, because they are flaky and tender. So if you let them set for a little bit, then they cool off and you can put them in a container.
So Algerian almond cookies. So this is a mixture of 3 cups of blanched almonds that have been food processed together with 1 1/4 cup granulated sugar. So as you can see, everything is mixed up and it's kind of crushed. All right, so that's the main part of the batter. Then I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of, that's kind of too much, 1 tablespoon of lemon zest. So I'm mixing that in. It's giving it a whirl so it gets mixed throughout the batter. And then I'm going to make a well. These are 2 eggs, lightly beaten. So we put that in the middle and we just combine and mix this. So let's see how this is going to come out. Let's work this through. This is again, like the previous cookies that we were doing, kind of a crumbly batter. But it eventually gets where it needs to be, which is the important thing, right? What you do with this dough after it gets mixed up is we're going to work with a floured surface here. Divide the dough in half and you take 1/2 of the piece out. And what we need to do is roll this into an 18-inch rope, kind of. So we're going to work with this carefully. It's crumbly dough, so we're going to work. It kind of sometimes falls apart a little bit in the middle. So you're going to work with this, making sure it stays floured. Roll it out till it's about 18 inches. So it's not super easy to work with, but if you just kind of stick with it, it does start to roll a little bit. I'm just making sure it stays together as I roll it out. Great, so after a bit of work, we have 2 ropes that have been rolled into about 18 inches. What you do is then you just take your hand and you press and flatten this out a little bit. I'm gonna flatten them out. And then we're just gonna cut these into 1-inch pieces on a diagonal, like this.
The lemon and the almonds
Yep.
just makes your mouth water.
Yep, and so we're just gonna stick them on here. And so there's one other trick with these cookies. After we bake them, we're gonna then dip them in a little bit of a syrup. So after they go into the oven 350 for I think about 10 minutes. And so after that part is done, we'll catch up on the other side and we will do the syrup part. So here are the Algerian almond cookies. We put both trays onto one tray to have a little bit more room here. And these are actually 15 minutes in the oven, not 10 like I told you. So they're actually great without this next step. But here's the next step. So this is a sugar water mixture. And this recipe actually calls for orange blossom water. Sometimes I can find that, sometimes I can't. And so today I'm just gonna use orange extract. I'm just gonna do a tiny bit. Oh, I should take the top off.
A real tiny
Whoops.
bit.
Hey, that's a big, all right, I'm just gonna put a tiny bit there, like 2 drops. Make sure that that gets mixed around. I'm gonna smell it to see how I like it. Yep, you can smell the orange. Okay, so I'm gonna take one of these wonderful things that are great, even without the water. You dip it in, and you just dip it in the powdered sugar. And you put it over here. Probably easier to sprinkle the powdered sugar on top than, and that's it. Got them. So we'll get these all done and we'll plate them. Okay, cookies part 2. Wow. Algerian almond cookies.
And sugar cookies.
Wow. Let's dig in.
The almond, the lemon, the little bit of orange. Oh,
Again, this is not a sweet cookie. And that's why it goes with rosé.
cheers.
Cheers.
And then we have the sugar cookies.
Mrs. Strauss. Oh my God.
Aren't they- they're very, very
Light,
fragile.
feathery.
They'll, you know, they're just,
Not fragile. Feathery.
well, they'll crack easily. Fragile.
But they're not going to crumble when you eat it.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
oh my God.
I love Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
And let's say goodbye to 2020.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's been
There-
a hell of a...
There were positives. We can focus on those, but wow,
Mostly negatives.
we have had one heck of a year.
Yeah.
So here's to better days ahead.
Better days in 2021. And we're going to take a break.
Right. We're going to take a little break and we will come back.
February.
Yeah,
The dead of
February of
winter.
2021. So
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Merry Christmas, everybody.